President Biden threatened to fire anyone who didn't treat others with respect back in January. But it looks like his VP's office didn't get the memo, as Kamala Harris is once again linked to a toxic work environment. Politico reporting this, quote, "People are thrown under the bus from the very top. There are short fuses and it's an abusive environment," said another person with direct knowledge of how Harris's office is run. Quote, "It's not a healthy environment and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like blank." I'll let you fill in the blank. And it's not the first time Harris faced accusations like this. During her White House bid, one of her campaign directors resigned, writing, quote, "This is my third presidential campaign, and I have never seen an organization treat its staff so poorly. I no longer have confidence in our campaign or its leadership. The treatment of our staff over the last 2 weeks was the final straw." And back when Harris was senator, the Sacramento Bee editorial board called her out for claiming she was completely unaware that a senior aide she had known for 14 years was serially harassing colleagues. Ben, all of this, and I seem to remember on day one, President Biden said this. Roll tape.
But I'm not joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Should we expect a Kamala firing on the spot?
Wow.
Yeah, probably not. All this harassment is probably happening during his nap time, so he doesn't get to see it. You look at her and just look at how she interacts with the media when they ask her, not even a tough question, how angry and how irritated she gets. Can you imagine behind closed doors what she's like? And the part about this that also is just laughable is the fact that Simone Sanders is implying now that the reason why people are making these accusations against her is because she's an African-American woman in a position of power. You hired your staff. You're now saying the staff you hired is racist towards their chief of staff and their boss. Where's the story on that one? You're literally looking at the people you decide to hire and saying, if you complain, we're claiming you're a bunch of racists that hate us because we're African-American and a woman. This is a problem that's not going to go away for her anytime soon. And it's one that the media should dig into, because when you're only, 160 days in, you got 22 staffers willing to go on the record, and say, here's our story. This must be a madhouse when the doors are closed.
And Morgan, that is exactly what stuck out to me. We have not seen a lot of leaking from the Biden administration, but to have 22 sources in Kamala's world, both in the White House and before, she's made a lot of enemies to have a story like this.
Yeah, and so quickly. Listen, on our jobs, Kaylee, it is so frustrating whenever you're working with people and all of a sudden you pick up the newspaper or, you open a website and you see that your colleagues are leaking things, right? So I understand how Simone Sanders is feeling. That's frustrating. But to call the people that you work with cowards every day, I mean, these are 22 people, as you all pointed out, that you're working with. And so the level of frustration that those people must have felt, and the quote that you read, the beginning of the segment, Kaylee, from the campaign about the abusive treatment. That is just a serial pattern of mismanagement. And when someone has that, including the person in the office who had been harassing someone for 14 years, when you have this type of behavior over and over and over again, it's indicative of a pattern of leadership, and it's a very poor pattern. And the final thing I would say is, remember what happened the last time the Democratic Party coronated their nominee. It didn't end so well in 2016. And so I think some of these Democrat hopefuls might, in 24, they might start smelling blood in the water and think, well, maybe I will run if Joe Biden doesn't. Maybe I'll test the waters and see what happens, because she, of course, did so poorly in the primary. And I can't think of a single thing that she hasn't fumbled out of the gate so far in her vice presidency.
Yeah, bold prediction here. Kamala Harris will never be president. My bold prediction. She's left a lot of victims in her multi-decade quest for power, right, Emily?
That's right. And Morgan hit the nail on the head when she said a pattern of mismanagement. And I think there's multiple angles, multiple views that can take. And one of which, being a Californian, we saw as district attorney and also as AG, there was a really explosive case that came out of her office. One of her closest aides of 14 years was a lawsuit was filed against him for sexual harassment. They settled, and the details of that remain closed to the public. But Kamala Harris maintained till the end that she knew nothing about it. And at the time, the papers, the Sacramento Bee, for example, these are favorable papers toward her, but they said she owes her voters more, they said. They said we entrust to her a leadership to manage her employees to a standard that we can believe in, and she has fallen short. She owes us more than a 4-word denial on the steps of the Senate. And frankly, it was also unbelievable. And I think that's what was hard to stomach as a Californian was, no, what do you mean you didn't know? That either means that you were a poor manager or you were lying. And there were so many details about it and so many things that flowed from it. And it also called to mind back in 2010, something that occurred in the DA's office where her office was formally rebuked by the DOJ for withholding information in the drug lab. So this is indeed a pattern of mismanagement on many fronts.
And Simone Sanders, when asked about it, says we're not making rainbows and bunnies, I believe it was. They are making cookies.
We're not making rainbows and bunnies. What I hear is that people have hard jobs, and I'm like, well, welcome to the club. We have created a culture where people, if there's anything that anybody would want to raise, there are avenues for them to do so, so on and so forth. So, I mean, that is just a real gift for no self-awareness on
Right.
Simone Sanders' part, and certainly not leadership there either, because wouldn't you take responsibility and say, look, the vice president and I have talked about this, and if there are people who feel that this is a toxic work environment, we need to speak with them. So we're not going to publicly tell you what these conversations are going to be like, because we want to make sure that we make it right. So the next time you talk to us, we have all the facts. Like, you know, communications for some of us actually is what we do.
Right.
I don't know what she's doing. Bunnies, and you're right.
They're making
they
cookies.
are making cookies. Can I
And cheese
just
puffs,
ask
and
Yeah.
a quick follow of you, Emily? Because it's interesting. You have a little inside view on what it was like to live in California while she was AG. So did she ever offer to, I mean, maybe she didn't want to apologize. Maybe those weren't the words. I'm sorry. She wanted to use those 2 words. She preferred, I didn't know about it. But was there ever an effort on her part publicly to say, even though I didn't know about it, this is wrong, potentially a crime, toxic work environment. Let me work on that, if in fact that's true. And this person of 14 years that I've known, apparently I didn't know him as well as I thought, but that doesn't change what I think should happen next and how sorry I am for his victims or whatever. Did she ever say anything like that?
No, because that would have been a perfect communications message to put forth, and we know that she's sort of falling short in that department. Absolutely not. And at that point as well, the actual settlement came after she became a senator with the next attorney general. So the irony is that she wasn't held to the fire to stay on it. She wasn't held to the fire to actually address it. So her 4-word denial is what stands. But the Californians don't forget. And I think that's also a pattern of her saying she's committed to, for example, victims of sexual assault, toxic workplace victims, etc. But her actual decisions, her actual behavior is totally opposite.
And an apology would have been an admission of guilt, and we know that that would have been unacceptable. There's no accountability for the Kamala chaos yet again.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.